Welcome to my Royal Rumble 2023 prediction slash preview as I give you my thoughts on this Saturday's upcoming big mega WWE Royal Rumble 2023 pay-per-view predictions. The event is happening Saturday night, which is the Saturday night, January 28th. At the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, just like the 97 and I think 2017 Royal Rumbles were in that building. Great building for the Royal Rumbles. So I'm going to give you my predictions on what I think is going to happen, what could happen, and the winners of the matches, including the Royal Rumble matches. So please feel free to, down in the comments, leave me your predictions for the Royal Rumble. Now, just to clarify something, this video is being made on Thursday the 26th. Friday Night SmackDown is going to be airing tomorrow, so that may add some matches to the show. But as of this video, I'm only going to preview the 5 matches that we have announced right now. So I want to start, first of all, with the Raw Women's Championship title match between Bianca Belair defending against Alexa Bliss. I feel like the Alexa Bliss character has been built up specifically just for this Royal Rumble, although we're seeing some kind of a connection with her and Bray Wyatt again being teased. Not sure if they're really going to go in that direction. They do have unfinished business from WrestleMania 37, which was Bray's last Mania, and really his last appearance in WWE. I don't remember him, appearing again until he made his comeback last year. So I think Bianca's going to retain the title. I think that the idea is going to be to push Bianca strongly forward going into WrestleMania. But who will her opponent be? We'll talk more about that here shortly because I do want to have some thoughts on the WrestleMania booking. But I also want to state that there have been some changes made as far as the plans go, because if you remember last year, the original plan for WrestleMania for this year, they were going to do The Rock and Roman Reigns. They wanted to have that match, and they wanted to do on the other side Ronda Rousey versus Becky Lynch, and have it be Becky's win over Ronda, like what happened at Mania 35, except that this time it would be a one-on-one match, and she would win, and that would be the end of Ronda's time in WWE, at least for now. But Ronda has been nowhere to be found. She was pulled off of the Raw 30th show, which I went to live. She was pulled off of the Royal Rumble show that we know of, although she may be a surprise entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble. But I don't know if that match is still happening, because obviously the Bayley and Becky feud is still ongoing, and I'm not saying it's going to go all the way to Mania, but it seems like whatever they had planned might be going out the window. And I'll give more of my thoughts on that as we go through. As of right now, there is no SmackDown women's title match on this show, so as far as we know, the rest of the girls are going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble. So I want to discuss, before we go back to this topic, the Roman Reigns Kevin Owens match for the undisputed WWE Universal title. These guys, the feud's been on and off now for the past couple of years. This time, though, there's an added element because we saw, according to what Roman said on Raw Monday, that Sami Zayn's final test will be this weekend. So obviously he's going to be stuck there in a situation where he'll have to prove where his loyalties lie. Will he be loyal to his longtime friend of decades, Kevin Owens? Back when they were Kevin Steen and El Generico on the Indies, they had so many matches and were partners for so long, came up together. It's a real thing. Or will he be loyal to the bloodline as he has been during War Games? So they've done this before during War Games. They have teased this before. However, the story, I don't know if it's going to repeat where it's going, but one thing you have to remember is that coming up in February, we have the Elimination Chamber. That's still coming. And as far as we know, is supposed to have Roman Reigns defending the title in the Chamber. Now, I could see a situation where 2 of the other 6 guys in that is Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. And if that is the case, then Zayn will once again have to prove his loyalties in the Chamber if that is where they go with it. The good thing is that we know the turn is coming. We know at some point Sami Zayn will, leave the bloodline, join up with Kevin Owens, with the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn team overthrowing the Usos probably at WrestleMania for one or both of the tag team titles. It's pretty easy to figure that one out, y'all. But the question is, what are they going to do here? It's going to happen. I mean, it's going to happen, but when should they pull the trigger? Should it be on this Royal Rumble show? Should it be in Montreal? Will Montreal, because remember, Montreal is the home city, sort of Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. So is that the city to reunite them? Is that where the big angle will happen? Lots of questions up in the air. I don't see Roman Reigns dropping the title to Kevin Owens, although that would be a massive surprise. I don't think he's going to drop that title until WrestleMania. We'll talk more about that when we get to the Royal Rumble match, but I'm going to predict Roman wins. However, I could see it being a DQ or some kind of schmoz finish to set up the Elimination Chamber. Sami and the Usos will probably be involved. I could also see Sheamus and Drew McIntyre and those guys also getting involved because they still have some unfinished business with the Bloodline. Either way, most people will agree that the Bloodline is without question the best act in wrestling. MJF over on AEW, he's like the top guy over there as far as like what the most entertaining stuff is every week, and I feel like the Bloodline is just killing it with every single segment. The segment on Raw Monday, the stuff on SmackDown we've seen for the past few months, it's just been so good. This to me is some of Sami Zayn's best career work ever, y'all. Like, this is the best Sami Zayn we've seen in a very long time. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Roman to win, but I am expecting him to have a good match. Surprisingly enough, it's just a singles match. No last man standing like they did at the Rumble a couple years ago. Just a basic singles match. So that leaves it open for a fuck finish, which we could see. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight in the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match. They haven't told us what the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match is. It is a match that's being sponsored by Mountain Dew with their Pitch Black flavor, obviously. And it is a match involving Bray Wyatt, whose ongoing storyline with Uncle Howdy has been a thing of talk since September. And his feud with LA Knight, who, when Triple H took over the booking regime last year, repackaged Max Dupree from Maximum Models. He repackaged him back to being who he was when he first came into NXT, which is LA Knight, formerly Eli Drake. I think the match will be good. Neither one of these guys are known to be like truly spectacular workers. Like, they're not like Shawn Michaels or, guys of that ilk, Sami Zayn. But they're definitely more of the brawling type, but they're definitely more of an overall package. Great talkers, great characters. And I'm interested. I'm wondering if we're going to find out more about the events of the Firefly Funhouse coming back and The Undertaker on Monday, what he said to Bray Wyatt. Either way, I see this being a victory for Bray Wyatt. I don't think he's going to go down. I just don't know what this match is going to be. I assume the lights will be out for most of the match or something like that. Sort of like maybe like a lights out match, except the lights don't actually go out in a lights out match. Lights out just means last man standing. But so it could be like that, though. It could be like a last man standing type of rules thing, in which case the feud could continue. But I kind of feel like Bray Wyatt's going to win this thing. So it's an easy kind of pick. This is probably going to open the pay-per-view. That's my prediction. Either that or the Women's Rumble. Even though I do feel like the Men's Rumble is a bit more predictable, I think the Women's Rumble will be one that I think will be on earlier. So we're going to talk about the Women's Royal Rumble first, and that's what we're going to discuss. So the Men's Rumble, I've got a winner. Women's Rumble is a bit different. So like I mentioned earlier, the plan was to do Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. And I remember hearing that one of the plans was to do Bianca versus Charlotte. Now, the reason why the Bianca-Charlotte match makes sense is because Bianca has victories over every member of the Four Horsewomen. She's beaten Bayley, she's beaten Becky, she's beaten Sasha, two of which at WrestleMania. She has not gotten a victory over Charlotte. So it makes logical sense that Charlotte be the one to face Bianca at Mania, but except there's one problem. They're both champions. What do? They are both champions. Do you have one of them enter the Royal Rumble like what Charlotte did last year? Do you do that again? I didn't hear anything about her being in this Royal Rumble. If they made that change as of this video, I haven't seen it. So what are they going to do? Who's going to win? It's tricky. I feel like all that stuff's changed. I feel like even though I still want to see Bianca Charlotte have a match because that'll be a good one, I feel like wherever they go will be different, and it just feels like Rhea Ripley has a lot of momentum right now, and Rhea Ripley is someone who they are really giving a lot of TV time to, tons of TV time to her, and I don't see why the Judgment Day doesn't want to get some gold, and why not do that? So I could definitely see Rhea Ripley being the winner here. As of right now, as of the recording of this video, they've only announced 7 women in this thing. Only 7. Liv Morgan, Candice LeRae, Rhea Ripley, Raquel, Shayna Baszler, Zelina Vega, and Emma. So that means that there have to be 23, at least as of this recording, more entrants, many of them being surprises. I'm expecting to see all of the old divas come back. I'm expecting Tori Wilson make a cameo. I'm expecting Alundra Blaze, maybe, who was at the Raw show. I'm expecting Melina. Characters like that will definitely come back. NXT women will be involved. But it really feels like it's being set up so that Rhea Ripley is going to win this thing. And her being announced already ahead of time tells me that she's going to be the winner. So, but of course it makes you wonder, like, are they going to bust out like Mickie James? Are they going to bust out like, some more like newly signed people, some international stars? There's a lot of possibilities here. Overall, though, last year I thought the Women's Rumble match was great up until Ronda at the end. Ronda just hasn't been too great in 2022. I think she had a couple of good matches early on with Charlotte, but last few months have been really painful for me to watch, and I'm not sure what her future holds, but if I were booking, I would just nix that Becky Ronda match. It's not necessary. I would just book Shayna versus Ronda, like have a breakup at some point in the next couple of months, and then have Ronda tap out to Shayna at the WrestleMania show, and then that'll be it. And have it not be for the title. I'm not saying it'll be a title match. I'm saying it'll be a grudge match between the two former MMA stars, two best friends, exploding at WrestleMania. That's what I would do to kind of write Ronda's character out, again. But we don't know what's going to happen with Ronda. We have no idea. It's up in the air. So my pick is still going to be Rhea Ripley, although I could see Shayna Baszler having a good showing in this Rumble if they're going to go in that direction. So that's my prediction. Rhea Ripley's my prediction. For the men's Rumble match, first of all, let's go through who's already been announced. There would be a lot more stars coming in, a lot more surprises, but who's announced right now? Kofi Kingston, Santos Escobar, Ricochet, Austin Theory, Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Baron Corbin, Rey Mysterio, Gunther, Cody Rhodes, Omos, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Braun Strowman, Karrion Kross. So there will be more. There will be more coming. Without question, members of Judgment Day are going to be in this thing. We talked about Austin Theory, even though he's the U.S. champion, he's in this thing. With Bobby Lashley being in it, I could see Lesnar being a surprise entrant to build up that match for WrestleMania. I could see the Usos being surprise entrants, or Sammy trying to stop somebody else from, winning the Rumble, whoever they may target, Drew or whomever. I could see that. But I think it'll be, they have plenty of guys, especially with NXT. I think that this year it's a great opportunity to bring up some of those NXT guys to at least give them a Royal Rumble shot. If you remember a few years ago, we had Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano both making like surprise, appearances in the Royal Rumble. So I could totally see that being the case as well. I'm not even seeing Gargano here in the list of wrestlers who have qualified for the Rumble, but I do think he'll be in it. So, but the pick is obviously Cody. I know that The Rock is up in the air because there's been reports now that The Rock is not going to be in ring shape for WrestleMania, which is a very bizarre story because this WrestleMania match with Roman had been talked about since last year. And it's like, okay, if you're probably going to have a match the next year, that gives you a whole year to get ready. And I know the guy's got movies and all that. I get all that. But from what we understood, with him owning the XFL, the idea was he was going to come back and like build up to WrestleMania with Roman while also promoting the XFL on WWE television. But now we're hearing he might not even be involved. So this plan they were talking about where they were going to have the Rumble winner face Roman Night 2 and have Rock face Roman Night 1, we're not sure if that's going to happen. There's been talk that Steve Austin has been giving a truckload of money to wrestle Roman. I'm not sure if that's the right move because I feel like The Rock makes more sense because they are family. And the whole tribal chief storyline from the very beginning seems to have implied that The Rock is the real tribal chief and that Roman is trying to get the throne and obviously has it now with their match at the WrestleMania making more sense. But now with The Rock possibly not even being involved or at least not in a wrestling match, I feel like Cody Rhodes is the winner. Cody Rhodes is going to win this thing. The story of Cody Rhodes coming back from injury, in the Seth Rollins pec tear, Hell in a Cell match, coming back to maybe have a segment with Seth in the Royal Rumble. Not just that, but the overall greater story of him coming back to WWE after being an EVP at AEW with his journey to capture the New York, quote unquote, the classic New York WWE Lineage Championship and give it to his father, who's no longer with us, of course, Dusty Rhodes, but to symbolically give it to him and show him, like, I was able to do it even though you weren't. It's a beautiful story that most people can relate to, and I think it's the best story they could come up with for this WrestleMania, and I think that he's the guy. I think Cody's the guy to beat Roman at WrestleMania and dethrone him after 2.5 years of that grip he's had on the championship. Roman, of course, beating Edge and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 37 and beating Lesnar at Mania 38. Just retaining year after year to eventually, finally, possibly lose to Cody as Cody reclaims his birthright and achieves destiny. I think it's a great story. I think it makes the most sense. So my predictions are Cody Rhodes, male Rumble. Rhea Ripley, female Rumble. Bray Wyatt wins the pitch black match. I think Roman Reigns will retain the title. Whether he wins or not by a DQ or something, that remains to be seen, but he'll retain. And Bianca retains. So ultimately, not that many surprises. The surprises will be in the Royal Rumble match itself. So hopefully we'll get some good ones and some real shockers. With that being said, what are your predictions? Let me know. We'll talk in the next video, and I'll have a review up Saturday night of the show.